So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. And thank you for joining us for this event, Tools and Methodologies for Climate Finance. My name is Carissa Hobson, and I am a member of the Paris Committee on Capacity Building. I would like to extend a special welcome to our distinguished guests, presenters, and participants from various sectors who are committed to addressing climate finance challenges. The PCCB's mandate is to address capacity gaps, foster collaboration, and to promote knowledge sharing to enhance climate action in developing countries, to facilitate continuous improvement of developing countries' capacities to take meaningful climate action. There is an urgent need for climate finance to achieve the goals of the Paris Agreement. Climate finance is crucial as it enables countries, particularly developing countries, to invest in sustainable practices and technologies that mitigate climate change impacts. Indeed, the global climate finance landscape is evolving with increasing investments in renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and infrastructure. However, significant gaps remain in funding, especially for vulnerable communities and regions. Tools and methodologies are essential for identifying priorities, integrating climate risks, and ensuring alignment with national climate strategies. It is therefore important that the tools and methodologies for climate finance be made more accessible, transparent, and effective, particularly for developing countries and vulnerable communities. Today's event is designed to strengthen the knowledge and skills of stakeholders involved in climate finance by introducing key tools and methodologies that support the sustainable and effective use of financial resources. We are honored today to have a country representative from Grenada and stakeholders from the International Institute for Environment and Development, IIED, NAP Global Network, and Climate Analytics, who will be here with us to showcase amazing tools and methodologies for climate finance. Our event today takes the form of a marketplace. You can rotate through the 4 stations that we have to learn more about the different tools in a hands-on, practical way from real-world examples and case studies. At each station, there will be experts who will answer all of your questions. Before we start, however, allow me to welcome, I forgot the name already, and I really don't want to butcher it. Tell me again. Soke Kreft from the United Nations University Institute for Environment and Human Security, and that's UNU-EHS, and Munich Climate Insurance Initiative, MCII, to help us set the scene for the marketplace. The presentation will be about tools and methodologies for climate finance. Let's welcome Mr. Kreft.
Thanks. Can we have the slides, please? I believe this is the last event, so we have the last dance, right, in the capacity building hub. So I hope we can really rock and roll. Okay, perfect. So, last time you told me I should not touch them under no circumstances. Okay, good. Thanks. Okay, so I'm not Magdalena Mirwald. Unfortunately, my colleague, she fell ill today, so I'm jumping in. I'm Sönke Kreft. I lead the Climate Risk Finance group at UNU-EHS. I'm also leading an initiative called the Munich Climate Insurance Initiative, and we are focusing on different climate and disaster risk finance options, also risk analytics and concrete solutions on the ground. It's an honor for me to do the scene setting presentation today. And I'm going to start. I'm also focusing on adaptation because that is going to be the focus of the marketplace. Just to get us started, I think you're all aware the climate adaptation finance gap is set to be between almost 200 billion to 360 billion US dollar annually per year. This is information from the Adaptation Finance Gap Report published by UNEP. And the adaptation finance need in developing countries is set to be almost 10 to 20 times as big as the international financial flow. We saw that the adaptation finance by the data of the donors has been doubled, but to a level of like 40 billion a year. So you see really there's a huge gap. And I think this speaks to the fact that that adaptation needs to be well planned and also needs to be cost effective to reach the most vulnerable people. When we are thinking about what's hindering adaptation finance from flowing, there are different reasons. And these reasons are well-known market failures, also rooted in conceptually rooted in economic theory, but also real-world challenges that prevent international climate finance to flow to the communities in need. And I'll just mention a few. We have, for example, information gaps. The cost of inaction is not understood well enough, or we have incomplete market information. We also have people being risk-taking when it comes to climate risk. We don't have the experience necessarily, especially for climate disasters. That means also that prevention is discounted. We have a lack of common language when it comes to measuring climate risks and also the value of adaptation benefits. There's no agreement on or definition on adaptation. There's no taxonomy for adaptation and adaptation investments. We have limited bankability of adaptation projects. So the planning processes that have been established, for example, by the UNFCCC, yes, they lead to adaptation priorities, but this is not necessarily enough to have, for example, your investment your capex requirements for the investment that would actually be needed to make this a bankable project. There are also limited revenue streams associated to many adaptation and resilience investments, and there are different reasons for that. One, that there's an affordability challenge, but also we often have like principal agent problems and externalities that the benefits of adaptation are not where the costs of adaptations fall. And also we're talking about very long investment horizons, and with that there come also challenges. For example, what I mentioned, that it's misaligned with the risk preferences of people. And that adaptation actions often need to happen in localities that, due to all sorts of risk issues, have to pay a premium on finance. And so these are, I think, all problems, and only a selected few problems when it comes to adaptation finance. You probably know about this picture. When we talk about adaptation, we are talking about an adaptation cycle, leading from an assessment process to a planning process, to the implementation process, and then the monitoring evaluation. All of this comes with the specific tools to actually engage in this adaptation cycle. And the world is even more complex. This is from a policy brief that the World Adaptation Science Program published, and we are also a member of that, because adaptation planning is like the long-term process, but of course this also has to intersect with the risk management to also react day to day to the challenges of climate change. And so I like very much this framework, and you see like these kind of white boxes, identifying the challenges, assessing the risk, identifying the options, preparing the plans. All of this, as I said, needs concrete tools to get adaptation finance flowing. I quickly want to tell you about one tool that we are also working on as part of my group, which is the economics of climate adaptation, which is about quantifying adaptation planning. And here it's offering a framework to identify what is cost-effective climate adaptation. It goes through several steps using open data and state-of-the-art risk modeling, and we are going to ask what are the current and the future climate risks, what is the potential for climate-related damage to, for example, assets, but also to people over the coming decades, and in which locations will they occur, so also make it geospatially explicit. looking at how much of that damage and loss can be averted through which type of adaptation measure, and we can model different types of adaptation measures from green to gray to hybrid infrastructure. And then also establishing what investment will be required to fund those measures. And also, will the investment outweigh the cost in terms of averted losses over time? And after doing that, you come up also with like your residual climate risk that can be dealt with, for example, by means of insurance or funding through the newly created loss and damage fund. Okay, so this is how the modeling looks in the real world, doing it, just to give you a feel for it. And these are some of the results that will come out after the process. And I would say that investing in good risk and cost-benefit analysis, including also prioritizing and costing your adaptation benefits, will actually also increase the likelihood that these adaptation measures will be financed in the long term. Okay. Just to say also, there are many sources available, so I'm really looking forward to this marketplace. These are just a few and that can help in like preparing the individual steps in the adaptation cycle to prepare for climate finance. And then also to say there are different adaptation financing options available, all come with their specific requirements. So we have traditional investments, looking at grants, loans, but also, of course, concessional loans and also equity. And we can also look into in terms of technical assistance, project preparation, and the issuing of bonds. We have the disaster risk, so that's what my group is working on. We talk about, for example, climate resilient debt and debt deferral clauses in loan payments. We are talking about parametric insurance, about cat bonds or regional risk pools. And we get more sophisticated the higher we go. We have also catalytic investment, where we talk about risk guarantees, subordinate capital, or bundling and securitization in the second market, and pool investment funds, dedicated pool investment funds. And then the last one, we also have like outcome-based instruments where the payment is linked to an adaptation outcome. We have the adaptation benefit mechanism. We have debt for nature swaps, nature-based credits, sustainability-linked bonds, and development policy lending. Yeah, and all this shows that actually tools are needed to prepare adaptation for these and match these with the funding that is available. And with that, I would wish you a very happy marketplace time.
Thank you very much, and I'll be very safe and say Mr. Kreft. That's safer, right? Okay, so we're officially opening the marketplace now. As we said, there will be 4 tables around the room. It's expected to be an interactive process, so I'm expecting to see you moving around the different tables. We have Grenada over here, we have IIED, we have Climate Analytics, we have NAP Global Network. So you're invited now to move around and explore the marketplace. Do enjoy. Just letting everyone know that we have another 5 minutes and then we're going to wrap up. Thank you, everyone. Unfortunately, when we're having lots of fun, the time goes very quickly. Fran, we would agree, right? When we're having lots of fun, the time goes really quickly. So guys, we're coming towards the end of our marketplace. And we'd really like to thank the organizations for some very insightful tools and our one country, Grenada, for my home country, I have to give a shout out, for some very practical examples of what some of these tools look like in the country context. As we are concluding, I would like to emphasize that tools and methodologies for climate finance are far more than technical mechanisms. They are the cornerstones of our collective responses to the climate crisis. When applied thoughtfully, they can unlock unprecedented opportunities to direct resources where they are needed most, ensure accountability, and empower communities to build resilience against a changing climate. But we know that the tools alone are not enough. We know that their success depends on our willingness to collaborate, innovate, and prioritize equity. It depends on our commitment to build capacities, particularly in regions where climate finance is a lifeline for survival and sustainable development. With these words, let us leave this room inspired and determined not only to improve the tools and methodologies at our disposal, but to strengthen the systems, partnerships, and trust that make them effective. As we come to the end of this COP29, I wish you all a safe travel home whenever you're leaving, and all the best in your work for the rest of the year and the years ahead. Thank you, everyone, and do enjoy the rest of the day.